Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your December reading. So, this will be available on Patreon in its entirety. The first few minutes you may be watching here on YouTube. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. This is a really big month for us coming up. And it started last night with the full moon in our sign. I was talking to my son, who's also a Gemini, a June Gemini, on the way home last night after I picked him up from school. And we were talking about how this full moon is really, there's this sort of purge quality to it where some pretty uncomfortable things that perhaps everybody around us knew but we couldn't face comes like pouring out of us. Because I had a set of realizations earlier that afternoon, and I thought to myself, wow, I think everyone I know in one way or another has been trying to tell me this without hurting my feelings. And I haven't been listening. Or I've heard it, but I haven't let it, penetrate my mind. So we get home, and I was really exhausted. Like I felt like the moon was pulling on me. I could see it from all the different windows in the house, and it just felt like a spotlight, which is how I'm sure most of you felt. And then I took a shower. I was praying, and I hear my kid throwing up. And I was like, wait, what? So I run into his room. He's in his bathroom, and he's, got food poisoning, and he's puking. I think he threw up like 3 or 4 times, and then, kind of had to rethink the strategy for the week before Christmas break or like winter break or whatever. Just in terms of friends and, trips and whatever else. And I thought to myself, even for those of us who are not emotionally or even physically mature enough yet to have something to purge, even those of us who are not quite ready for this energy, it's being, tossed on them. And it's so strong that it makes you, throw it all up, so to speak. So I wanted to start with that because the full moon has been such a source of inspiration for us. It's, it's really beautiful. The placement of it in the sky, Gemini placement's beautiful. But there was something about this moon that was like oppressive. And I think it makes sense. Because we have the ability in December to make some really big mistakes and make them smashingly, be really successful at making mistakes. And if we don't have this jarring full moon, to make everything that we're hiding inside that we don't want to face come up and out of us, if we don't have that experience, then these bad decisions will come very fast. And, it would be a shame. So, having said that, let's start. I have a copious amount of notes here. And right after this, I'm doing the Pisces December. Also moon related, also the same sort of stuff going on where there's a need to reestablish certain norms that have been elusive to us for a few years. There's a certain standard that we hold ourselves to, whether it's relationships, how we look, how we sound, how we present, to what we spend our time on, to what we feed on mentally. There's so many different standards that have been lowered, and it seems like over the past few years the bar has been set lower and lower, not by us but by the people around us, and we have adjusted. Sometimes adapting is not a good survival skill. I know why we adapt. Nobody really likes to talk about it. It's like we have this sick superpower, but nobody wants to talk about how we got it. Everybody loves Wolverine's claws, but nobody wants to think about how they had to, rip his skeletal system out and replace it just because he heals really quickly. So what's the point of talking about that? It's like that. We have this terribly wonderful ability to adapt to pretty much anything. And we are praised for it. We make money off of it. We survive, which is what I'm getting at. And that skill is learned independently by every one of us. Nobody sits us down in Gemini clown school and teaches us how to be this way. We, each of us, find ourselves in a world that we are far too gentle for, far too intelligent for, far too inspired for, and far too honest for. And we start paying the price for that really young. Because really young, we are encountered with the fact that everybody around us lies constantly, perhaps because they're too stupid to tell the truth. In most cases, it's because they're too dumb to put the truth in a way that would even make sense. And so, by default or out of, stupidity, people are disingenuous. And as a child, when you see this over and over again, you realize that because you can't be disingenuous, you will instead have to adapt. It is our way out of that trap that catches everybody else and ages them. Because I don't think people realize what really it is that keeps us so young. It's because we're honest like children. We don't carry anything on us, on our energy. Our energy is clear because I'm going to tell you what it is. So, in the spirit of telling you what it is, or, in this case, it's just us Gemini. If you're cross-watching, I would say that this is not the video to cross-watch. Because, and I know I say that often with the Gemini videos, which just makes you want to watch it more, but I really will be speaking to Geminis from their perspective and for their well-being. So, unless you're in a weird-ass situation like me, where you're fucking with a Gemini, don't listen to this because it's going to hurt your feelings. And if you're the weird-ass Gemini I'm fucking with, don't listen to this because it's going to hurt your feelings. Okay, let's go. After all of that, 1 second. It's cranberry juice. All right. I've been drinking so much cranberry juice for I want to say 3 months. I can't get enough. I don't know what it is. Anyway, all right, here we go. So, December. First of all, our planet will be going retrograde on December 13th. And the Gemini rising, that's the house of intimacy. It's the 8th house. On the 23rd, a couple of days before Christmas, that Mercury will retrograde back one sign into our 7th house, which is relationships. Now, excuse me. Excuse me. So, when this Mercury retrograde is going on, Mercury and Jupiter are going to come into some pretty harmonious ties. And what that means for us is that, you know how sometimes we run all the way around the world to get away from something and then we run right into it? We're so much Jonah and the whale. Like, we always be running from the shit we're supposed to be doing, and then we got it, and then it catches us, and then we're like, oh my God, I ran all the way around just to come here. So you can reestablish. Now, for some of you, this is not a good thing, okay? So just hold on. But for some of you, for all of us, we reestablish. Let me put these down for a second. For all of us, we reestablish some communication, specifically in terms of romance or love, and it's exactly what I described. It's like you run exactly the other way from someone to get all the way the fuck away from them, and then you realize that you're running in a fucking circle and you're actually chasing them. If that's the case for you, you're fucked. No, I'm not. I'm joking. I'm joking. So, communication is reestablished, and you know, for some of you, it's like the first time you really get to connect. For others, you've been waiting for this reconnection for so long. For still others, it's like you both ran in separate directions, and when you come back together in this reconnection, it almost feels like it's a bad thing. It feels like it's like a drug, like it's addictive, like this feels too good. Is this self-soothing? What's happening here? It can be intense. Okay, so from the 13th to the 23rd, you should be excited because, and this is why you love me. You should be excited because even if it's like fucking horrible, right? Which I'm not saying it won't be, it might be, right? Like whoever you're reestablishing this connection with, it obviously Mercury and Jupiter are telling you, listen, you got to communicate about this. You can't just like act like it didn't happen or act like, you know, you don't want it or whatever it is. But what I'm saying to you is that even if it turns out to be terrible, right? It will feed your ego. Okay? Regardless, and sometimes you have to also take into account that the person you're connecting with might be fucking miserable, and then it's going to be up to you to like lift them out of this nonsense. And you know what I would suggest here? If you're the person who has to be like the Zen master and the one to be like, hey, everything's going to be okay, why are you so fucking miserable? We're back together, or we're talking again. Shouldn't that be enough for you really to be happy? Really what you're trying to do is you're trying to connect with this person so you can lift them out of whatever hell they've been in since not talking to you or not being with you or not being. And for some of us, this is like people are coming out of the fucking woodwork that we don't even know, and they're reconnecting with us and they're like, oh, we find each other again, and we're like, who the fuck are you? But regardless, what's the way to connect? You should be connected, right? Shouldn't you be connected? The way to connect is you need to talk. You need to talk. And right now, I feel like, you know, both parties have been like really holding back. Like one party just does not know what to say anymore. Like you got me strung up upside down. I don't even know. You won't, like you're not letting me move. And the other side is so stuck in their own head that it's like, like, even what I'm trying to say is even if the world brings you smack dab running into somebody, what's the point if you can't connect? That's the whole point. You're running back into this person. You're having this reconnect because you're meant to reconnect, but you have to talk to reconnect. You can't just whatever the fuck you're thinking, you can't just do that. You have to talk, and you have to talk about like the big things. You have to talk about the awkward things. You have to talk, you know, tell me all the truth. Tell me Tell me how you feel about this. Tell me how you feel about that. Tell me where you're holding back. Tell me, what do you want? What's this common ground? Do we both want this? Or do we both want this? Or are you running from this to something else? Like, what do you want? Let's talk about these wounds. Let's talk about this abandonment. Let's talk about who made you feel like this is what you do when you're in love with somebody. Like, or this is what you're afraid that someone's going to do to you as soon as you have feelings for them. Like, these cards are reading the fuck out of you. I hope you realize that. These cards, sometimes in my hands, I'd be like, especially now it's Sag season, yeah. Listen, nobody is safe from those fucking arrows. Nobody is safe with Sagittarians. I was joking about it on the live the other day when I was saying, like, you know, like when Geminis change their minds or some shit, or we like completely change our look, we'll be like, you know, I'm a Gemini. Or if someone's like, I thought you wrote this way, now you're handwriting like this, whatever. We're like, I can write like anything. I'm a Gemini. Like, everyone has some stupid shit they do, or like, you know, a Leo will get like way too overdressed or something and be like, well, I'm a Leo. And we're like, yeah. Sages only say I'm a Sag when they're about to do some really ill shit. Like when they're about to do some real fuck shit, then they'll be like, but I'm a Sag, you know, I'm a Sag. And then they do some really wild shit. Like when they say I'm a Sag, it's like they're warning you. Everybody else is like, I don't have to, like, that's not a warning. If I'm like, I'm a Gemini, I mean, you might take it as a warning. But I don't mean it as a warning. You know what I mean? Scorpios are like that too. Scorpios tell you they're Scorpio like it's a threat to your life. You're like, I mean, all you said was I'm a Scorpio, but I heard I'm going to kill you. So, bottom of the deck, by the way. By the way. By the way. Oh. Listen. Expose your wounds. Trust them to see you weak, baby. Expose your wounds. Tell the fucking truth for once in your life. Tell someone how you fucking feel. Tell someone why your feelings are so hurt. Tell somebody why you fuck around and fucking run around and do this and do that and disappear and all the famous Gemini shit you be doing. Tell somebody the fucking truth. Tell somebody why you do the things you do. Trust them to help you with love sort through whatever the fuck you tell them, because they will. Because they will. Now, there is something here that you have to understand. This reconnection is amazing, but if you start seeing ghosts where there are no ghosts, and you start being jealous and possessive and fucking crazy because now you actually feel something for somebody, and you start seeing fucking monsters where